Hi, Teacher Jerry here again. All right, just doing some videos to help you to learn your chemistry more effectively, sharing you some techniques. Okay, especially with this exam, end of year exams, and O level around the corner. So today in this video, share about technique two, the type of careless mistakes that you make. Because different types of careless mistake, different solution. A very common answer from students that how they can improve their careless mistake, they will study harder, they work harder. But are they even aware what kind of mistakes are they making? Because you will require different solution when you're practicing. So what are the kind of careless mistakes? All right. Okay, like I mentioned, okay, there are different solutions. So you can see if you lack of confidence, right? That means when the teacher go through the answers, you will realize that at that point of time you have thought about this before, but then you change your answers. Then when you practice, you need to trust your first thoughts. What do you lose? No, if your first thoughts is wrong, you learn. If the first thought is correct, as you practice, you slowly build more confidence. And with this confidence, then you're more likely to trust your first thoughts when during exam time again. Second, if you're rushing, then don't worry about 100% of the paper. Try to focus on 80 or 90% of the paper, right? Because even you do 80% and leave 20% blank, and all these 80% are correct, your mark is still 80%. There's no negative markings. So why do we need to rush? Same thing. Even there are certain topics that you still don't understand before exam. Why is there to panic? For all you know, maybe a few marks come out from that topics. Or there are still other topics that you can rely on and work upon it. If you misread the questions, maybe you can underline the keywords. That will help you to allow you to understand or aware of where you're focusing. All right. And underlying is making your brain to go off the autopilot mode. Autopilot mode, make it more intention to look at every questions. Okay, because we have a high tendency to be on autopilot and then to follow our habits. So we need to relearn, we need to, you know, uh, rewire our brain. And if it's wrong understanding of concept, then which part? All right, go and relearn before you start memorizing again. Don't just try very hard to memorize even you don't understand because you know that you will not be able to recall. Then why waste the time? All right. Thus, we can do a very short activity, like you see how okay in the keywords, right? The keywords in these questions. Okay, so for example, see the keyword here is sour, right? Don't be overwhelmed by the informations. Not every information is to be used. All right. So important thing you see the keywords, you know that you can recall its acids. So your job is to look for all the acid, even though you're not so sure is it got malic acid, right? You got ascorbic acid. So your answer can be any one of them, malic acid or ascorbic acid. All right. So since it's relating to acid, you can see keyword like dry, no observation, moist. Then there's observation, so you can recall what you learned about acids, right? Because you need water, right? Because the acids will produce hydrogen ions when dissolved in water, right? That's the main reason that why we have to use moist or damp litmus paper. And you can see that in the questions, they're also related, maybe related in some way or another, right? Because the first part tell you about acid, then of course then we know that it must have hydrogen ions when dissolved in water. Then here talk about conduct electricity. Then because you have mobile ion or mobile hydrogen ions, right? Even acids are covalent by nature, but generally when they dissolve in water in the aqueous state, they can conduct electricity because it will ionize, right? For example, hydrochloric. Okay, it will ionize to have hydrogen ions and chloride ions, and these ions are free to move in the aqueous state, so they can conduct. And of course, you know it's acid, so right? Chemical properties. You can either talk about acid carbonate to give you salts, carbon dioxide, and water, or acid base, or acid metal. right? Because chemical reactions of acids. So if you look back again, we're starting from this whole lot of ingredients where people will be scared, what's all this? Now, where is your focus? Let the question guide you. All right. And in other words, tune in the focus on the what topic, and that will help you to later answer most of the questions. So, in other words, sometimes when you cannot get the answers, it could be because your focus is wrong. So, take a step back, take a breath, and see what could have missed out. Where are the terms that I'm familiar with? If you have, especially if you're very revised for it. Right, that's all for this video. Remember, your look at what are different type of mistakes and uh, deploy different solutions. Please comment and share if there are other techniques that I'm not shared here so that I can do more video to share with you to help you in the type of mistakes that you are making. All right, see you in the next video.